Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good, Greg, and yourself?
Good. Look, to use the football metaphor, let's kick off, or we'll open the batting. And thanks very much for being the first in what I hope is a long line of principles.
Excellent.
So I know that's why I want to get more voices, and that actually is a good segue into today. Yeah. Michael, I'm just interested to see if I can capture the reflections of our principles within the context of what happened last year, COVID-19. And then, what it's meant for your leadership. So a couple of minutes, just talk about, if you reflect on last year, what did you learn? What do you think it's done for, how you see moving forward? That's simple.
Look, I took it, I've been reflecting over the last couple of days about it, and I came up with eight key points, I think, that reflected my leadership and the direction the school went. And the first thing that came out of COVID for me was, number one, was feel safe and supported. We needed to make our staff, our students, our parents feel safe and supported. Now that came from the initial conversation with you that you gave us ownership in our schools. So I was able to address that number one point, feel safe and supported. The next one was about the emotional connection and the relationships. We needed to make sure that relationships between teachers and parents, teachers and students, myself and teachers, was solid, was affirming, was direct and safe, because allow them to they were moving to something they hadn't seen before. This is uncharted waters. So then, in order to build that, I built it around the concept of respect. Now, respect was so key to, people were suffering at different levels with families, with kids, the whole lot of ideas. So building respect about people, finding it difficult to engage in what was going to be a long drawn out process, which I believe will continue until 2024. We're in a pandemic. We're not at the end of it. Yes, there's a vaccine, but we need to make sure that we keep that respect for our workers and the work that they're doing. The next one was about attention and appreciation. So it was really appreciating the work that they do and giving my attention to that, the small things they were doing, the big things they were doing, coming in, working after hours, the feedback they were giving via our blended learning environment, to really show, appreciate and to celebrate that. Now, we did that in a COVID way. We had little cupcakes made in little boxes, and we did that every 4 weeks as a way of saying, right throughout last year, as a way of saying, okay, we respect and value the work that you're doing. Then it was valuing my team, and I've got several teams in the school. We've got our leaders of learning, our deans of house, our leadership team, and then our collaborative inquiry teams, all of those teams. And it was giving the teams ownership, direction and control, but the ability to make their own decisions within the context of improving the learning. And that was really important. And that led to the next one, which gave them autonomy. And I think in an environment where they were feeling restricted, you've got some autonomy about how you're going to deliver your lessons, what you're going to put into it, how you're going to reflect back, and what sort of feedback you're going to do within the context of giving good, positive feedback and feed forward, which then led us into the seventh point about innovation and creativity. We ran a number of sessions throughout the early days of COVID, teaching teachers about the correct use of Zoom, making videos, uploading videos, all the little tricks of the trade that you have in terms of using digital technologies, so they could blend their learning, working in teams, so they could use a variety of sources, Canvas and Google Classroom. And then it came back to the last part, which was all about me, which is my own support and self-care. And for me to actually make the first 7 happen, I needed to make sure I was okay. And so for me, it was connecting with a couple of my key principal colleagues. I'm fortunate enough to work with Ben and Pate. And so for them, giving me that I suppose, spiritual sustenance in terms of that reflection and connection allowed me to move things forward. So when I put those 8 things together and then say, okay, what did we do differently? We moved to blended learning. We changed to staggered lunch times. We have Zoom briefings. We had Zoom assemblies. We had Zoom parent-teacher interviews. We used our PL in different groups. We worked in very strong, powerful teams. And all of those things, Greg, we're still doing now and we'll continue to do. So we haven't reverted back to a pre-COVID world, if you like.
Yeah, that's a fantastic way. I've never I should have realised, Michael.
Sorry, Greg.
No, but the good thing is not formulaic. But just finally, like if you reflect back on what did you learn about your leading as a result of 2020?
What I learned about my leading is that as the leader of a community, like St. Paul, if you want to put into a Christian tradition, I've got to be strong and steadfast to our mission.
Mm.
And remember, you said to me 21 years ago about the strategic intent, about, it's got to be great for teachers and the learning's always got to be there. So, it's the best outcome for students and it's to make it a rewarding career for teachers. Now, that's my mantra. And so having that ingrained in me for 21 years and then saying, I need to continue to do that, allowed me to do those 8 points. And I believe, Greg, that our HSC results were very good last year for Xavier. They were outstanding, right? And our year 12s didn't suffer any sort of stress because we put things in place to make them feel safe and secure. So that, I suppose my learning is safety and security, good, solid learning and boundaries.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, look, thanks very much for that, Michael. You've certainly set a high bar.